Hello everyone, welcome to Codeflow. I am Harsh, founder of Codeflow and Google GDSC Lead of NIT Kurukshetra. And today we have session on Postman APIs 102 and we have Kartikey Rawat, who is developer advocate intern at Postman, founder of OpinCo community, GitHub campus expert, and he also cleared GSO and much more. Welcome Kartikey.
Thanks, Harsh, for inviting me. Giving me this platform to basically to share about API stuff. So thanks for inviting me, Codeflow and Harsh. Yeah.
Yeah. So can we start, Kartikey?
Sure. Okay. So let me share my screen first. So just let me know my screen is visible or not.
Yeah, screen is visible.
Yeah. Cool. So let's kick this off. So yeah. Yep. So API 102, building workflows with API. So on this one, so let's get started. So talking about myself again, as Harsh already tell you, my name is Kartikey Rawat. I'm a developer advocate intern at student programs of GitHub of Postman, and yeah, this is my like you can say social handle. You can say everywhere. This is the same URL that I'm using, so you can find me over there. Cool. Yeah. So now our mission is right now about during this session is like you've been hired by a professional as a like a professional music blogger to create a workflow that helps and discover new music basically, right? So we will use Spotify web API for this one. So if you want, let me share you one thing. So if I will click on this link, specific this link, so it will go to this basically. Just give me a minute. Yep. So yeah, let's get started, I guess. Yeah. So if I will say like the mission basically we have focused that we are rely on, you can say, is that you've been hired as a professional music blogger, and you want to create new or basically to recommend new music to the new folks who are basically using the music right now. You can say, right? Cool. Now, so what will we learn? So first we go for the making API request with auth, calling a real world REST API, changing multiple API calls to build a workflow, and visualize some response data. Cool. Now the agenda here is like we just get into like actually what is auth actually and how this intro to auth like in APIs works. Auth explained intro to Postman workflows, and we will do some hands-on maybe, and at the end kind of a Q&A for you all and some maybe task for you all in case you want to do that. Cool. So basically what is auth, right? So and why do APIs use it? So let's go into that. So auth is basically is consist of two things: authentication and authorization. So both, because many times people are really not able to differentiate actually what is authentication and what is authorization. So simply authentication, you can say that authentication is just verifying the identity. It's just like that, suppose you want to go for the pub, but for the pub you need a identity that you are 18 plus, right? And apart from that, authorization is granting a permission. In is it means if you get into pub and you want to take some alcohol. So in India, like I think so, 18 or 22 plus, 22 plus, I guess 20 or 22 plus are authorized to basically take alcohols, you can say. So there's a basic concept behind it. Again, if you can say, authentication and authorization are the first line of defense for the API, and protecting the server from malicious requests in case maybe some ethical hacking is doing some SQL injection kind of thing or any basic thing. So you should not because the data is very sensitive, right? Because you are using data. If you're making it public, so again it's maybe a public data, you can see giving to that. But more focus on we are over here basically on the first line of defense, that's basically the concept of auth came into, right? Now, authentication was also authorization. Let me give you a more wider example. So as I already tell you, authentication identify that you are who you say you are. Basically, it means it's like a very jumble word kind of thing, but it's basically means just to verify that who are you. Like as I gave an example, like suppose if I'm giving an example of driving, suppose, right? So you can say teachable driving, we get training driving, basically license we got around 16. So you can say if I'm saying authentication, it means you should be 16 plus. So it will check, like if we go for the if else loop, if this person is greater than age of 16, then he will be like he will get the maybe trainable the driving license, otherwise he will not take it. Now second point is authorization. Basically authorization verifies the permission you have. After that you are just identify like you are 16 plus, then he will identify can you use that particular resource or not. So it just like that. You are going for suppose you are going for a shop, and for that shop, to getting into that shop you need some special ID that is created by that particular shop owner. And after getting into that, authorization will take place. Can you use this resource or not? He will on that point it will identify can you use that particular resource or not. Also I hope so you got the concept of how the authentication and authorization works. Cool. Now let's go to the next one. So there's a types of auth in APIs. Basic auths, you can say, basically simple auth, method using username and password credential to verify the user, basically, right? Basic auth, like you can say you have a username, you have a password, and like very basic auth. Second one is API key. I hope so you know API key, maybe through maybe GitHub, I guess, because now all things are two-factor authorization, you can say. So all things are basically done on the basic authentication using an alpha numeric string for verification. Cool. Now another thing is sophisticated auth method using a series of token and IDs to authorize the request, you can say. Cool. API keys. So your invitation to use the API key is basically nothing else the alphanumeric string. If you are saying, let me go with the pointer, I guess. So yeah. So if you'll see this thing is basically API key, and it's basically alphanumerical string that provide a basic access to the API services and data, and they allow developers to impose, or you can say date the limits and revoke the access in terms of, and in case anyone can break the violation of code of conduct, you can say. So yeah. So OAuth where the magic begins. So that's what we are working on. So yeah. So if you pretty much know about, like, we can get easily access to, basically you can, if you want to sign up with the account. So it's just like you connect continue with your Facebook or maybe Google, and you didn't have to add any data from your end. All the data is directly taken from Facebook and Google and include in yours. So it's just like OAuth is just an authorized framework. It requires authorization from user to give access to your personal data without asking for a user's password. Basically, you don't have to add your password maybe from Google or Facebook, just like that. And instead, this task is delighted to access the token, and it's at the end of the day, without password, it using the tokens, nothing more or less. So these token allows the app to access certain part of user data under specific scopes. You can say specific scope means specific areas. You can say. Cool. Now let's take an example. We have we just considering a valid key like a auth. So this is me. Maybe I got I got a car. You can say if we're going for a like 5-star, 7-star hotel, and I will go to, basically I will give a valet key to the valet, basically, and he will take the car and he just park it. So the concept behind that, what I'm actually sharing is like that actually you're providing some of the credentials, that is the key, to valet, that is basically an OAuth, basically to use everything of the car, because you have to park it. You don't have suppose you are just giving a run so that you can park it easily, right? That's the main behind it. So just give me a moment. Let me just give you the access to that. Just give me a moment, and let me share the screen again. Let me share my screen again. Cool. um Give me a moment. Cool. Let me share my screen again so that it will be better for you all. Cool. I hope so. It's visible now. Let me add. Mm, Let me. Yep. Cool. Harsh. Thank you, Harsh. Okay. So history lesson basically is more focused on OAuth 1 and OAuth 2 that we are focusing on. So basically OAuth basically divided into two things. OAuth 1A, that is basically is very grew rapidly because it uses digital signature, and that you can complicate to implement that stuff. Apart from that, we have OAuth 2, which basically simplifies the process by using HTTPS and protocol instead of signatures, you can say, not backward compatibility with OAuth 1. And nowadays, when people refers basically like to OAuth, they usually mean OAuth 2 only, because again, it's more easy for everyone to basically integrate OAuth. So basically, OAuth 1 uses you can say hash keys, basically in terms of those who pretty much in cybersecurity, or they pretty much know how to use hashing basically, so to authorize super security. But in case of OAuth 2, it's just using the tokens over HTTPS and build a better developer experience. So nothing more on like less, you can say. Cool. So do the OAuth dance. So if you will say client, the basic thing that we are focusing on here is the how the authorized request is going on and can I view. So let me, if I go for the, yep, this one, laser point. Cool. So first one is the authorization request, which can I view with your Google accounts and the source owner. Then this whole things go to the grant code, so it will go to the client. Then again, the grant code is go to the authorization server of Google. Then it go to the access token. Then access token get a recovery back to resource server so that it can take. And after taking the access token, it can go back to the protected resource, and you can give a like the your regarding output behind that. Cool. So there are some of the do the or dance basically. So basically, it's just like a dancing, you can say, right? That's why the name came into place. So yeah, cool. Now we have a different types of OAuth. First one, authorization code, that is pretty much used by everyone. It is one of the hardest, you can say, basically to implement for apps involving basically a backend server that can hide clients secret, basically. That's the concept. Authorization code with Pixie, it just like it's more on basically work on single page web apps or web apps or native apps, basically where the client secret cannot be hidden from public. So this we don't want. Passwords, first party apps, again for security reason, this could be only with the apps made by the service itself. Client credentials, server to server, basically it goes from one server to another server. So it's basically to client credentials it's required. So for application to application communication, when a user is not present in the workflow, you can say that I'm creating a workflow. Last one is like it's like very maybe old, you can say, but it's not used right now. It's like implicit, which is basically the optimization more focus on the legacy framework. Now prefer use of authorization code with Pixie for front end only apps. So basically, it's just a older version of authorization code with Pixie, you can say, in a very similar single line word. So yeah. So do the OAuth done. So what I will do basically, so enter a grant type and credential and get access token behind it, and basically use that flow in a that way. Cool. So why does this have to do with the workflows kind of thing, right? And because almost every API you came in contact will have some form of authentication or authorization, because again, if it's public, then anyone can change their data and mismanipulate it, right? So authentication authorization is important. That's why you came into concept of auth. This information is imperative to creating today's workflow and any other workflow, basically the application that you're creating in the industry or maybe for the open source stuff, anything else, right? So now let's focus on building your workflows basically. So like what we do here right now. So we are gonna do, and you have been hired by a music blogger to create a workflow that helps them to discover new music. Now you will use the Spotify web app to get the blogger search for the songs in this exercise. So if you will click on this link, so it will go to the let me share my whole screen. That will be better, I guess. So just give me a moment. Cool. Entire screen. Just let me know my screen is visible or not. If Harsh will add, because I think so from my end, it's internet issues. Maybe let me check. Harsh, is it possible? Can you add my screen? Because I think so. Here at my location, the internet is drop off. So just give me a moment, folks. Let me see. Let me see. Cool, cool. I think so. It's visible to all. Cool. Okay. So if you click on this link, the Spotify API, so it will goes to the this link. So if you want, let me share this link with you all. So I'm dropping in the private chat so that it will be available to you all. Cool. Yeah. So the basic thing that we are more focused on is on basically based on the simple REST API principle. The Spotify, like my app, it goes to just access to the JSON metadata about music and artist and environment track. You can directly take the data from Spotify over that, and basic request, like basically it's going on the basic things you can say. So just for a more intro, if you go for docs and reference section and just open this thing, cool. So as you know, the base URL basically where whole you can say API works is this thing. If you will see, but suppose our main agenda is over here just to basically in order to take an API, take an API, just search about it, basic thing. So we need recommendations. For recommendation, we will use it. So let me go to the you can say this one and let me create a new workspace. Collection name may be API 102 Codeflow. Cool. And let me enter this thing. Cool. As you know, for what we are now focusing on is like, and we basically, if you will see here, there's no auth, so we will try to add one auth over here. Cool. So for that, let me go to the OAuth 2.0. So there are many auths you can take anything, but right now I'm going for OAuth 2.0 that we have discussed. So I think this will came over here. So let me name token name. You can say like you can say Spotify here. Cool. And we have different as we talk with around in you can say in the previous one you can say yeah. So as we did they are talking about authorization code, like you can say in a more simpler way, authorization code with pixie. So all things are over there if you will see, but right now I'm going for authorization because it's very one of the hard. So if you will go there, so you can do this. Cool. Okay. And yeah, cool. So let me go to this one. So again you have to call back URL. So from where you have to do this, so if I go here and suppose if I go to the guide section and let me open this thing. Cool. And if you go to the authorization guide, so you will see how you, because I have to authorize this, the end user is here is like a postman basically, and user well, basically the platform I'm using, my app basically built on the Spotify this thing. So how I can do that, so go to the API setting. Cool. So here I have to go to the dashboard. If I click and right click over this and I open this one, and let's log in this one. Cool. So let's create an app here. So we will say like maybe Spotify recommendation. No, no, recommend recommendation kind of an app description. We are listening new songs. You can see just for let's create this. Cool. So if you will see, we are in the no data available because we didn't do till now anything else. So if you will see, there's a client ID. So and this is also your secret ID, which will you didn't have to share anything with anyone else. You didn't have to do nothing else for now. But just for the if you see client ID, just copy this thing, and here at the client ID, paste it here. Cool. So if you see, there is a like use a variable instead of because it's sensitive data, right? So what you can do, make a variable of it, set as a variable, and set as a player called you can say client ID. Cool. And scope will be our collection framework. So let me save this. So again, it's pretty much now I guess better. And if you will see on the variables, it will be here. Same with the you can say if you will see the client secret, because we didn't have to access anyone. You can reset it if you want, if anyone can access that. So it's on to, so it's a, like fully secure, so no issue on that. And second is client secret. Cool. And let me add this thing. So first of all, you didn't have to add the initial value over there because it basically hamper your whole you can say just give you cool. Yeah. So it will hamper the whole, because if you add initial value and if anyone can access it, yeah, so they can access and basically scramble your whole data. So you didn't want that. Cool. So just give me a moment. Let me. I'm shareable or not. Cool. Yeah. Cool. So now I copy this thing. Cool. Now if you will see here, if you go to the authorization, so there is a called callback URL. So basically, I have to copy this thing. So if you will say, I will copy this thing, because all things are done on the website. So like right now I'm using desktop app. If you will see, it's a desktop app, but if you want, you can use on web also. So nothing more. So if you go to the edit setting, and you can see you can say redirect and add this thing and save it. Cool. So it will be saved now. Now now auth URL and authentication token URL, right? For this one, what you can do, if you will go there, and if you go to the authorization scopes, not authorization code flow, basically, because we are using authorization code flow as a, so if you will see, it's the all dancing, basically different dancing, you can say, requires authorization to access the data, display scopes, and promote user to login authorization access kind of thing. And it will basically the same thing that I want to trigger basically to the workflow that I am creating right now, right? So for that, what you can do, this is the authorized one, and basically this is the if you see, the get one is mostly used by everyone else out there. Cool. So just for the sake, if you will see, this is the basically the URL. Cool. Copy this thing and paste it here, right? Same with, if you will say, because if you will say about for the access token URL, so down here, if you will go down, so there is a request access token also with same thing, but just with the just change of API and token. So what I will do, I will add same thing, but just remove authorized with API tokens as it's here. Cool. And for this also, I will add client ID and client secret. Cool. I hope so. It's pretty much well over here. Cool. Like I did. So first of all, let me get an access token over here. So I will agree with this thing, Spotify recommendation and open Postman. Let me try again. Open Postman. So could not complete over 2.0. Let me check then why it's happening. I think so my variable is okay. Is it saved or not? Let me check. Level 2. Achha, okay, so I have to do some Spotify things. So let me, cool. Let me then okay, I think so all things are okay. Could not complete authentication, check the personal console. Okay, let me check the what we are doing. Okay, client secret, I think so we are, I think so we did it pretty much good, I guess. Let me check client secret once. Cool. Let me copy this, and I think so it's the same thing. Cool. Let me save this here. Cool. And let me run this. Okay, it's okay. Cool. Proceed. And if you will see, this is the whole thing. So let's use this token. So we get a token access. Now we set up our whole, this is the main thing, this is the first part of our whole session. We did it correct. And let's basically add some request so that we can do some stuff. So first of all, if I will add some request, let me add some request. Cool. So I will add request is like I have to get the basically track ID. You can see get the track, basically get the track. Cool. So if you will see on the basically documentation of the web APIs, if you will say, so if I want to get tracks, so from where I can get tracks, so this is the link. So if I go there and let me watch the whole thing, like actually how it goes. So this is the one get track ID, and yeah. So basically the thing that I need is ID, basically nothing more, nothing else. More on it, if you will, if I will go. Cool. So now I want recommendations. So again, if you get into tracks, you will see I can get recommendations also. So if I will right click on it and just check over it. Cool. So I get recommendation. So what are the main thing, like required thing, you can say the seed artist, seed genres, and seed tracks. And if I also want to search some songs, suppose, so if I go for the search, so just give me a moment, folks. Cool. So this is the basic thing, like get track. And if I go here and if I search for the item again, so again, a basic thing that we are recurring, like a query, a type array, and this is the basic thing that we are required here for now. But if you see here, everyone has a common base URL. If you will say this one, and if you go here, this one is also have a same basically, right? The main thing behind and each and everyone is the URL kind of thing. So if I go for the search thing, like if I go in for the search one, let me copy this thing and control C, and let me go with the this one, and let me first of all send it, like for just for once. Let me see what we will get. Try taking. So if you will see here, the status error is no search query. So because I didn't add any query right now here, but what I can do basically for you, if you will say like the get track ID, and if you will see the base URL, everywhere is the same thing is going on. So everything is, so what I can do, so I can make it like this one as a base URL, set a new variable base URL, and I can add the scope as you can say this one and set variable. Cool. It will now better. Now, as the thing, because there is no search query that I added over, if you go here for search, so you will see there's a queue and there's a type of basically query. So if I will write queue, suppose, right, and I write value as track. See here in the if of the array, basically all things regarding that. So basically queue string basically take on the track or basically the artist basically. So if I will go here and just write track, and here if I go here and if you will see the type of it, and maybe I write the name is like maybe OG, right? And let me send this, let's see what we will get. Okay, so we will get our status code again, because I think so it's not present over there according to that, right? So what I can write over here, I can write, because or in a more, and if I, you will see here in the typed list of items, basically the name and album of artist, you can say, right? So what I can do, because again for the space and colon, because all things spacing is done already by, you can say by the postman, or like postman as you can say act. So what I can do here, if you will see here, what I can do, I just write track colon space. In the space I can write the artist, and in the artist I can write maybe this one KR or the sign in it, and let me send this one. So it's still saying it's a bad. Now why it's saying, so I will let you know. For that point, if we are going for the this thing, like the demo part, the track ID part, that what I created for you all is like that. If you will see, I created a track list. Basically the name is OG and artist is basically that. Now the point is going for here, that what I did here is wrong, is what I did, because I have to write query. This is the query actually. So if I write this as a few and this as a type, you can, let me go. That's why what I'm saying. Cool. And now let's send this one. Yeah, so we will got the uh basically the things that we are referring. So right now let me close. If you will see this the basically link or the of the artist, if you will say. If I will click on this one, let me check. I'm not lagging. Yeah, it's cool, I guess. Yeah, cool. Cool. So this is the link that what I clicked on, and if I send this thing, basically this is the link of the song. It's the link of the basically artist. If you will see the basically we're sending. Cool, it's here. And if I go with the visualize one, or not visualize, it's for the preview one. So it's here. Basic thing, basically that we capture over here basic. So it's not like I cool. Let me cool. So let me close this thing. Don't save. Cool. So we got basically the if I like if I close like if you will see here recommendation. Now we are more focusing on how. So recommendation is generated based on the available information for given seed entity and matched against similar artists and track. If there's sufficient information about provided seed, a list of track will be written together with the pool size details. Basically that we are the more focus. If you will go here and you will see, but in case if you will see, if I just go to the main things, if you will see, this is the extended URL. This is basically album link of that particular thing. And if you can search it, right. Now, suppose I want update each and thing everywhere. So like I have to use it again and again. So for what I can do, if I select it, if I select this and make it like more accessible to everyone, so like okay, see if I will and set as available and make it a new variable. You can say track and select scope again collection. Cool. I don't know why my system is so much laggy. Cool. Let me stop sharing this one. Uh, I hope so. Let me know I'm audible or not, Harsh. Just give me a moment.
Yeah, Kartikey, you are audible.
Cool. Sharing. Uh, then get that. Let me know my voice is audible or not. I will change from my like another laptop.
Yeah,
So I think so.
Yeah, Kartikey, you are audible.
I'm audible.
Yeah.
Cool. Great. If I'm that what I'm going through, so if I again create an access token and it will share as same as it is, continue with Facebook because like I just did the same authentication. So cool. Let it will take cool. So that what I did here actually is created a base URL with the track name and the artist name basically, so that we can visualize in case we have to if in case you have to check it. So how you can check, just go with the main, if you will click here and you can go to the variables, you will see all things are as you are say base URL the same. I already if I go to the slides of this, just give me a moment. So just give me a moment for that. And yeah, if I will go to the main authorization tab, that what I'm doing here, and go with the recommendation one. So let me go with the how my whole recommendation thing is working on. So again, the base thing, base URL, this the basically thing. If you go to the main website of it and seed track with track ID, yep, and that what I added basically is as a seed track. If you go to the main documentation of Spotify, that what we go there, and at the end we just add some tests basically. So I will explain each and every one, so please do not take tension. So what I'm doing here actually, if you will see it, we are just creating first a variable called body, which basically take the responses from like from JSON that which I got from as a response. After that, I am just adding a collective variable called track, that is I'm taking from get track ID, basically from this thing. I getting the track from this one, so that just to take it on our collection variable. So what I'm doing, I'm just creating a variable called track and adding that collection variable here. After that, what I did, because I want top three, basically top three tracks of the whole thing, and template, basically this is the basic template, if you will see. So what actually this template, so if you will see, I am actually adding a whole, you can say, the basic thing behind is that I'm using just HTML if I'm doing discover new tracks, and if you have loved this song, kind of stuff. That what I'm doing actually here. And the whole thing basically what I'm doing, just to organize in that way, so that I can access the data and access the data point, basically you can say over that end. Cool. And more on it, if you will see if you will see in a very proper end, let me go to, then just give me a moment. Let me then go to this one, I guess, Spotify one. Yep. And let me share again my screen. Let me share my whole screen only. Give me a moment. Let me whole screen. Cool. Cool. So yep. If you will see, if I go to the main reference section, right? That what I actually go there, and also for the guide one. So if I let me open the whole guide one on the another side. Cool. And authorization guide, basically. And is in the if we go for the app setting, basically that what I'm going for, again going for the same thing. If I'm going for dashboard, login. Cool. So I already create one thing with called demo, but let me go to this one, right? Again, copy this thing, that I have to add over here. So if you will see on the demo for API 102, this one, and if I go for the variable one, and actually I have to add client ID over here. So I am just adding client ID here, like this. And same with the you can say, if I go the client ID, basically. So if I'm copying client ID, and copy this thing and pasting it here. Cool. And just save this thing, and like it's already saved, I guess. Cool. And now if I go down here and get an access, so it will authenticate. Okay, so let me, cool, just give me a moment. Cool. So if you will go there, and if I go for the, again for the demo, same thing, again with the variables. That's really important, because what we have to save this thing, right? So what actually I'm doing here, again go to the app setting, dashboard, and let me copy this. Uh, Let me paste this thing with this thing. Maybe. Okay, I just copied the client secret, so I just added over in the wrong section. It is secret, and let me copy this thing and paste this thing. Okay, save this, saved, and let me create an access token. Yep. Okay, maybe I think so. Maybe it's the callback issue, I guess. So if I will, if I copy this thing and if we go to the back to the dashboard and edit setting, so let me add this thing, call back, and let me save this. Cool. Let me go again here, and I think so all things already done over here, and about the variables also. Cool. Cool. Code only, and yeah, so I will be agree with this one. Authentication complete. Let me check. Proceed. Use this token. So my access token is added now. Cool. Now go to the track ID that what I actually sharing. If you will see my track and my artist basically is same, like I think so Krishna. If I will send this thing, let me check. So yeah, we will got different basically the if you will basically this is the artist actual URL, and if I will like submerge this thing with, so you can also see the songs basically of the album of that thing, you can say, right? If I click over this, it will open on the new one, and if I will send this one and visualize it, no, not visualize, preview it. So again I got the song OG, that maybe if you are a fan of Krishna, so I'm not saving, just for your view. So again if I want to test it out, right, now testing in which sense, so this is the thing piece of code that I wrote for you. So again what I'm doing here, I'm creating a variable called body and taking a response. Okay, so if I will send this thing, if I go to the console, and if you will check, I get the basically the album, basically what album actually is dropping. So I got the link of the whole thing, I got the ID of the whole thing, and all stuff, right? And this is the basically URI, you can say, of the Spotify track, you can say. Cool. So what actually I'm doing here, I'm creating a variable called first track, which is taking a body dot track dot item. Now if you will see, and if you will expand here in album, and if you'll see in the external URL, so I get this basically what I'm going for the body, going for the tracks basically. So if you go here, and you can get the basically IDs and track number basically from here only, right? If you go here, same thing, all things are allowed. So what I'm doing, I'm going for body, then track that dot items basically of 0th position, and using track ID, using this first track, and printing out with the collection variable, and I'm just setting the variable track ID, which is actually in the params, you can see. Cool. Now for the recommendation side, what I'm doing here, if I send this, so what I'm doing, this is a basic thing, base URL, going to the, so if I go to the web API users, and if I go to the, you can say, recommendation one. So from the doc, what actually I'm doing here is just taking in a recommendation. Basically, what I'm doing, I can take any of these things, but these are important: seed tracking, seed genres, seed artist. So what actually I'm doing here, so right now I'm taking this track ID with using seed track as a parameter, and like track ID basically I created track ID in the previous track, so I just taking as a wholesome by using by what I'm doing actually here. I just if I do this as thing, so yeah. So I created a collection variable from the above and take it here so that I can use that variable here, right? And basically set the visualizer over there. That's what I did here basically. So what I'm doing, I can slice it in like multiple ways, and I'm using this basically template in order to be. I got the basically the template kind of thing. So if I go there, so if I see here and preview it, not visualize it, sorry, not preview. So I got the new tracks basically, or if every time I will shoot this thing, it will update, like this is the basic thing that what I'm doing. This is the basic thing that what we did here. Now for you all, that what I'm having is like that. Let me do the slideshow. So for you all, the basic thing that what I did is get a access token, or get a track ID and get a track recommendation, nothing else more than that basic workflow. If you will see here, your turn is to just focus collection. So if I copy this link, and let me first of all stop sharing this one. Cool. Sorry, I didn't know why my internet is so glitchy today. I didn't know why. So, yep. So I shared this one. So this is the basic fork link. Maybe I'm dropping in the private chat section. So let me copy this thing so that you can use it. And basic follow instruction if you will go and you can check it out. So if I go and click this link, let me share my whole screen then. Just give me a moment. Uh, cool. Let Cool. Okay. Sorry, folks. Sorry. I'm really sorry. I didn't know why it's happening again and again. Cool. So yeah, let's. If I am going with the. Let me share my screen again. And just give me a moment. Cool. I'm not like full sharing the whole screen. Cool. Yeah. So if you go there and basically think that what you have to do, just focus collection. Let me copy this for you and let me drop in the chat. I guess preferable. I guess. Cool. So now the main basic thing, just fork this collection and just try to follow the instruction in the basically in your turn, if you will say. And you can also go further with the workflow that you could make, like create a playlist of authenticated users, most played songs, create a playlist of song with no words for studying, and like write a recommendation based on the user's current track. And again, on your idea, again, if you're not been a part of like as an API as a student expert, you can do that by going there. And at the end, like Postman Student, you can apply over here if you want. Let me share the link with you all. And yep, apply with this link. Cool. And cool, I hope so. Is a because the main part behind the whole session is around more like authentication. It's not more on the coding that what I'm doing here actually out there. It's more like the authentication that is more important. And yeah, I hope so. Like this the my session. And sorry folks, actually there's some glitchy from my end, and also light is also dropped from my end, so sorry for that. Yeah. Hush, I think so you are on mute.
Yeah, yeah. Thanks, Kartikey. And yeah, we have a challenge for you all guys. Kartikey, can you please tell what they have to do for that?
Yeah, so as I already shared this link, I guess. So you just have to create a like as if you go through the API 101 kind of thing and you want to do the same stuff, yeah, with the same. So if you go to the this workspace and you just fork this thing, and you have to do the same practice as you done on API 101, but with the knowledge of API 102 that we did here today about how you can basically use the auth implement in your Postman app and how you can integrate with the Spotify thing. So this is a basic session you can say. And sorry for the glitch, very internet dropping in my area, so I'm really sorry for that. Yeah.
And yeah, and I also shared a form link in the group. Like there is also another challenge where you can win great cool gadgets. The challenge is that you have to tell if you have to tell about if you have to tell your grandmother about Postman, how you tell. And one one and one activities that Kartika has shared. So that are two activities, and the deadline is tomorrow. Like you have 24 hours to do that. Yeah, and more details will be shared in the WhatsApp. Thanks, Karthike, for joining.
And thanks for inviting me. I'm really sorry for the this glitch, but
Yeah, I hope so. People get understand some of the auth side, basically how basically I can add auth in Postman and how I can use. Otherwise, all things are coding. I hope so. If those who pretty much know how to basically integrate that thing, they pretty much know everything. But yeah,
Yeah. Yes, it was a very insightful session. Thanks, Karan.
cool. Thanks, Harsh. Thanks, Harsh.